what is good and what is bad is always going to be subjective, isn't it? Yeah? So what should we do? Because there's going to be conflict now. Yes? When everyone decides what is good and what is bad, there's bound to be conflict. Because what might be good for you might not be good for him. And what might be good for you might not be good for you, might be bad for you. And that's the reason we have to acknowledge someone other than ourselves, someone who has the authority to be just and never to make mistakes, to tell us what is good and what is bad. And this is where God comes in the picture. So as human beings, we have this innate disposition, which we call the fitra in Arabic, that we always go towards belief in God, and specifically towards a monotheistic God. Yes? Because if I were to ask you, where did the universe come from? What would you say?
Well, I think it's allowed to say that I don't know for sure.
That's fine. You can say I don't know, no problem. What would you say?
Well, I would not either.
I thought you believed in God earlier.
So you said you're Catholic, right?
Huh?
You said you're Catholic.
Yeah, but you might be Catholic just by name, you know?
Yeah.
I don't know, I'm assuming, because you said I don't know. Because if you are someone who's a Catholic, who believes in God, then the natural answer would be God created the universe. That's the short and the long of it. But look, the universe didn't come about by itself. Yeah? Did it? It didn't. If I said that ring you're wearing, yes, just popped out of nowhere, you would say I'm insane. That's crazy. Because that is something that would never happen. Now you and the universe are much more complex than any ring you can put on your finger. Yeah? So for us to assume, and I'm not saying you're assuming this, for it to come into existence from nothing or by itself or by magic, that's something which is an impossibility. Do you agree? Yeah. And we know from science and from the studies that they have done that the universe began to exist at one point. Yes? They even roughly tell you approximately how old the universe is. It's just under 14 billion years old. So we know that it began to exist at one point. The question is, how did it come into existence? And this is the how that science cannot answer. Because science is very much dependent on observations and experimentation. Yes, they believe in empirical evidence. So otherwise they just don't say, they don't go based on speculations. So because they cannot operate outside space and time, and universe means space and time, so they cannot say what came before it, or whether there was anything before it. But as a person who believes in God, I believe not just in the physical world, I believe in the metaphysical as well. And I'll give you an example why everyone actually believes in metaphysical, even the scientists who say they don't. Yes? You believe you have consciousness? Yeah? How would you define consciousness? What's your understanding?
I think therefore I am.
Very good. Descartes, yeah. Or Descartes, however you said it, how you pronounce it. So this was a philosopher who basically gave this definition about consciousness. That if you can think, then you exist. It's basically, if you can understand and acknowledge your environment, then you are someone who possesses consciousness. A rock doesn't think for itself. Yes? So you put a rock anywhere, it wouldn't react any differently. Yes? It'll be the same. You go near fire, you're aware the fire is danger, you'll try to move away from it. Yes? Similarly, any danger you suspect, you'll try to avoid that. Yeah? So that's why I'm saying, if you believe that the universe came from nothing, then that is also, which is impossible. Yeah? By the way, the reason I was giving you about consciousness is to show that the metaphysical, which is your own self, no one can see consciousness in the lab, yeah? So there's no empirical evidence for it. You cannot observe it, you cannot do experiments on it. It is something that you possess, yes? And without that, you cannot think, you cannot rationalize. You know the questions you're asking now and the answers you're responding to, it all links back to your consciousness. So without that, you cannot function. None of the faculties of your reasoning will function without that. And that's the reason I'm saying, even the scientists who don't believe in the metaphysical, by faith, and I mean faith, blind faith, they have to accept that they have consciousness. They cannot explain how they got it, yes, or why they got it. They know they have it, yes, without any empirical evidence. And that brings me to God. If we can have our own souls, our own self, our own consciousness as being active, which is metaphysical, then why can't we believe in God, who is also not from the physical world? Yes? And that is the reason I'm saying that we as human beings, we always gravitate towards belief in some higher being. Yes? And why is it important? Why should we believe, you know? You can say, I lead a good life. Yes, I don't harm anyone. I'm always nice. I even give charity. Well and good. But then who decides what is good and what is bad? Because that goes back to your consciousness. It's always from your subjective point of view. Yes? For example, if I were to say to you whether you love your pet more or your mom more, yes? No one other than yourself can actually respond to that question, isn't it? Because you're the only one who knows what's inside. Even your mother doesn't know. Yes? Even your closest friend or relative or brother or sister can't tell you. And that is the reason what is good and what is bad is always going to be subjective, isn't it? Yeah? So what should we do? Because there's going to be conflict now. Yes? When everyone decides what is good and what is bad, there's bound to be conflict. Because what might be good for you might not be good for him. And what might be good for you might not be good for you, might be bad for you. And that's the reason we have to acknowledge someone other than ourselves, someone who has the authority to be just and never to make mistakes, to tell us what is good and what is bad. And this is where God comes in the picture. Because with God, we have scriptures. You know, He doesn't tell us to just go and live in the world. Yes? He sends us guidance through His messengers. And His prophets tell us how to lead a good life based on the command and the rules and laws. Just like every system has rules and regulations, the system of God also has rules and regulations. And just like every system, for example, if you had a driver's license, you can't just drive your car the way you want. Yes, you have to obey the DVLA rules and regulations. If you break those rules, there's consequences for that. Similarly, in the system of God, there is consequences if you go against the commands of God, or if you break His commands or the rules. And there is reward, yes, for you doing something that God has commanded you to do in the way He told you to do. So we have the system of reward and punishment in every system, yeah, mostly. And this is the reason we as Muslims, we believe that God is only one. And that is another thing. There are many religions out there who believe in multiple gods, yes? You must have heard of polytheism, for example, in Hinduism, in ancient religions like the Egyptians and the Greek mythologies. So there are lots of people who believe in polytheism, multiple gods. But as Muslims, we believe that is something which is also illogical and incoherent. Yes? Why do you think that is?
I'm not sure. We do have to go.
Yeah.
I greatly appreciate your perspective.
No, fair enough.
Honestly.
Fair enough.
It's been very interesting to listen to you.
Likewise, yeah. Thanks for your time.
Thank you so
and
much.
I really appreciate it. What's your name, by the way?
Mira.
Mira, and you are?
Kawan.
Kawan? Okay, nice names. So, yes, before you go, have you ever read the Quran?
No.
Would you like a free copy?
Yeah.
Yeah, why not?
Not imposing it on you, yeah?
No.
In your spare time, if you want to read it, please do read it. And if you ever come back here, Speaker's Corner, yes, we are here on Sundays. You can speak to us, or you can go on our channel. It's called Dawahwise. Yes, and there are other videos which discuss this topic. So yeah, thanks for your time. But yeah, he's going to bring a Quran from that table just over there. Yeah,
He's coming.
yeah. So yeah, is your first time here at Speaker's Corner?
Yes.
Yeah. What do you think?
They're from America.
I think it's really interesting.
Yeah, interesting.
Yeah.
Good. You ever saw any videos of Speaker's Corner discussions?
I've seen some videos here, we weren't there. And I thought, yeah, we'll
Okay.
just pass by.
Here you go. That's a gift for you, Mira, right?
Yes.
And you as well.
Thank
Sorry,
you.
can't remember
Thank
the
you.
name. Thanks a lot. So, Jazakallah khairan. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.